I did a security and safety audit, or what we would refer to as a risk assessment for crime-based activities in 2015, and the district reached out to me to basically update that report now here in 2022. I'm looking at it purely from what we call crime prevention through environmental design, or CPTED. I'm looking at how to make the buildings inherently safer against potential threats from the outside, whether those be violent or whether they simply be graffiti or vandalism or something to that effect. So I'm looking at really that gambit of somebody misusing your facilities and how we can better protect the district against that. So I start with the site perimeter, looking at things coming up to the building, or excuse me, coming up to the edge of the site and the site edge itself. So I even look at some things that like crosswalks, sidewalks, things that are more in the public realm and not in the district realm, just to see how do people approach your building and what are potential risks to students walking to school, to people finding your front door. What does that look like? And from the site perimeter, then I move to the site area. So I start looking at all the fields, the playgrounds, the portables, things that are around your main building, but not the main building itself. I'm taking a look at where blind spots are, where pedestrian travel paths are. And then I move towards the building perimeter as the third zone, where I'm looking at the edge of your building, and I do a pull test on every door to make sure that doors are in fact engaging. I look at things that are like climbing aids to get onto the roof. Are there ways that somebody that shouldn't be on the roof are able to get onto the roof? Looking at room identification on the windows, I'm looking at wayfinding signage, and then lastly I look at the building interior. In the building interior I pay close attention to the classroom and the front office, but I also take a look at or specialty spaces like your multi-purpose rooms, cafeterias, and so forth. And at the office, I'm looking at components about how do you enter and engage the office and how do they control access so somebody isn't wandering into the building. And at classrooms, I'm looking at, well, how do they conduct lockdown, and what are the different components within a classroom that allows them to do a lockdown effectively or not, in terms of classroom locks, in terms of window treatments, in terms of where's the phone and how does that work and how can they interact. I can't tell a parent your building is safe enough. That's not something that I can say, because it really depends on the parent's point of view. But what I can say is I take a look at what the risks are and the likelihood of each risk, and what the building does right now to protect against that risk. And when I say building, I also mean the building staff, what they do to protect against that risk, and things that I see can be bolstered. I'm not seeing any school that isn't addressing certain risks at some level. So when somebody says, my building's not safe enough, I want to remind folks that this is also a school. And as being a school, it needs to still be welcoming and inviting and create a positive teaching and learning environment. I will identify all the risks that I see. I try to be comprehensive. There's certainly potential scenarios that maybe I don't envision, but I've been doing this for about 20 years, so I envision a lot of them, and I'm CPTED trained. So I will identify all these potential risks. I'll identify options that the district might use to resolve those, and what a likely budget would be to resolve those in that manner. Then I will also make recommendations to the district about where they would prioritize what they would do, and where do they identify where their target areas of opportunity should be. And I'll make recommendations, and at the end, that's what they are just recommendations. The district needs to look at what their policies and protocols are, and which of those recommendations make sense for how they want to operate the district. Staff have absolutely engaged me. I mean, they see me and they come up to me to see who I am and should I be there or not. And that's a big part of it. I mean, it's this culture of being aware and having your head a bit on a swivel, if you will, and seeing what's going on around you, observing. And I find the staff very much engaged in that way. I was not able to get on any site for more than a few seconds, and somebody was looking at me and then coming my way to verify that my badge was correct and that I was supposed to be here. I did not see doors blocked open. People are paying really close attention to that. So people are aware of security, but I don't see that getting in the way of the teaching and learning happening. They've sort of just made it intuitive, if you will. They're thinking about how am I aware as I walk through a space? What can I see that gives me pause that I should bring up to a committee? And I've also noticed that every site has a safety and security committee, and so they're creating that culture of being aware.